Hey guys, it's me Helena and welcome back to my channel. I am creating a video series on astrocartography planetary lines. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing some information about traveling on a Mercury line and also my own experience living on a Mercury line for 6 years. So let's get started. Before we do, I just want to let you guys know that I offer astrocartography readings. These are one-on-one personalized video calls where I walk you through your astrocartography map and your natal chart to give you a deeper, richer story on your soul's journey traveling and living on our beautiful Earth. And if you'd like to learn more details or get more information on the readings that I offer and the information on those readings, I will include a link down below to my website, helenawoods.com, as well as in a pinned comment down below. I've been working with quite a few of you guys here on my channel, and it's been so wonderful connecting with you guys one-on-one, learning more about you guys, and just feeling all the good vibes. Mercury is a very supportive line. It is a supportive line. It's not necessarily a good line, but it's supportive. If you are someone who has a hard aspected Mercury in your natal chart, this may feel more challenging for you. If you find that you have a lot of air energy in your natal chart, this may make you feel more anxious. You may overthink things a little too much on a Mercury line because Mercury is the communicator. It's the messenger. When I think of Mercury, I always think of the Disney movie Hercules and that little winged guy that's communicating, the Mercury, right? He's communicating messages to people. Mercury is communication. It symbolizes writing, teaching, studying, sharing information. It also rules technology. So the information that we write and share via technology like social media, this all has to do with any kind of mental cerebral work. So of course it goes without saying that if you are a writer, moving to a Mercury line is going to be really beneficial for you. If you want to start studying something in school, or you want to teach or become a speaker in some capacity, maybe you do client work with people and you need to communicate often with them, this is great to do on a Mercury line. Also has to do with thought process, travel, the post system, basically any kind of commuting or traveling. This is really good for a Mercury line. But just note that if you are traveling to a Mercury line on a Mercury retrograde, I would rethink that because the impact will feel harder on a Mercury line if you travel there on a Mercury retrograde. So if you can plan in advance or just prepare yourself for that, that's always really good to know, I find. Don't sign any contracts or anything important. Don't book flights if you're living on a Mercury line now and Mercury's in retrograde at that time. Wait until Mercury goes direct and then sign anything, plan anything, book anything. But I just really recommend if you live on a Mercury line, like it's gonna hit you harder, that retrograde. And you know, Mercury retrograde happens 3 to 4 times a year, so it's a hard line if you're someone who has a strong Mercury placement in your natal chart. So I lived in New York City for 5 years, and then I lived in Virginia for 1 year. And that's all on my Mercury Descendant line. Descendant means relationships with other people, so working with others, friendships. And my experience living on a Mercury line was very nice. It's interesting because living on that Mercury line, it was 6 years of intense study, intense learning. You know, I went to college for a year, took a lot of classes, really opened my eyes to new ways of living, Eastern religious thought, poetry, philosophy, social psychology. That was a time when I really learned about my different interests aside from what I did when I grew up on a moon line on the MC, which is acting, theater, being an actress, being a performer. That was my focus for all of my childhood. And when I moved to New York City and I went to school, my world opened up to all these new subjects and topics that I'm super passionate about. And so being on that Mercury line from age 18 to 23 was amazing for my expansion and growth as who I am, you know? I took so many classes outside of college. As an actress, I was always in class, in scene study classes, acting classes. I would take meditation classes. I took philosophy classes. I took Buddhism classes in this city. Like, I would go to meditation courses and I would just learn. And that was such an important time in my life for learning and growth. And I really owe it all to being directly on that Mercury line. Another way that my Mercury descendant line really popped out for me was I started a photography business and a blog when I was living there. And I started writing actively on my blog, and also I opened up that photography business, and that photography business was all about client one-on-one relationships, about communicating with my clients, having relationships with them. And that descendant energy is all about relationships. So if you are on a Mercury descendant line, it's a great place to start a business. It's a great place to write a book. It's a great place to like form relationships, communicative partnerships with other people. Another good thing about Mercury descendant is that it's great for legal battles. So if you ever have a legal battle that you're going through, like, it's great to go to a Mercury descendant line. Or if you want to start a business in terms of like the paperwork side of things, signing contracts, any kind of contract work or paperwork, partnering with other clients, brands, that kind of thing, great for a Mercury descendant line. Living on that Mercury descendant line, and to be honest, my Mercury descendant goes through Boston and Connecticut, and so I always think to myself, if I ever do move back to the States, one of the places I would like to move to is either Boston or Connecticut outside of New York, because that Mercury descendant line is going to be really great for relationships and client relationships. So if I ever wanted to move back, I'm definitely considering Mercury descendant line, that area of New England, Boston, Massachusetts, or Connecticut. But what was so awesome about my experience living in New York was, besides the learning and the blogging and the writing and all of that work that I did, was I started that photography business, and it was really successful. Like, my business specifically in New York was very successful because I formed really great relationships with my clients over the years, and it came easy to me. It came very easy. It came very natural. I got a business license. I, started a business like with contracts and everything with the government. So it all felt very seamless and smooth and easy. It was just flowing for me. After those 5 years in New York, I ended up moving to Virginia, and my Mercury descendant line is it's a little bit farther from New York, let's just say that. So the farther you get from a line, the less vibrationally you're going to feel that energy. And so because I was living quite far away from New York, Connecticut, and Boston, that energy grew fainter. And so I didn't feel really anything in Virginia. Like, I didn't feel any growth. I didn't feel any movement or momentum like I had the success in New York. And then also, I didn't feel any support or benefit being in that area. Even though so where I was living in Old Town Alexandria, which is the most adorable town in the USA. Oh, I love it so much. Such a joy to live there. It wasn't a fit for me personality-wise, but it's a beautiful place and I love visiting. But I don't feel supportive energy there or negative, challenging growth energy there. It's just kind of blah. And that's the thing with living in a place where there's no lines near you, is it feels very blah. It feels very neutral, not exciting, not growth-filled. It's just kind of, that's life, life is I would rather live on a negative or positive line, because I would rather feel that feeling that I'm living, Another thing, if you want to look at your astrocartography map, you can go to astro.com, click Astro, click Travel, and see where you have Mercury on your map. Just note that it's really good to look at your natal chart as well and start to understand the relationships that the planets make with one another and the aspects they make to one another, because that's going to tell you even more details on your Mercury line. Personally, for me, I have Mercury natally in Gemini in the 8th house, and and I've got a lot of beautiful supportive trines and aspects to that Mercury. I do have a square to Saturn though, and I am not excited for my Saturn return. Let me tell you, that square to Mercury scares the crap out of me. Basically, you want to look at your natal chart, you want to see where your Mercury is, you want to see what house it's in, you want to see the ruler of Mercury, where that's at, you want to see the relationships. This is why I offer one-on-one astro readings. So if you would like to book a reading with me on astrocartography or your natal chart, I'd be happy to give you a one-on-one consultation. We'll do a video call and I'll give you lots of details on your life. And also I'll give you a video and audio recording so you can have it for future reference. So that's it for Mercury. Mercury is supportive if you're not overly anxious. If you are an overthinker or very highly cerebral, it might be a little bit more challenging, and is especially challenging on during a Mercury retrograde. So just be aware of that. I would love to hear what you guys think of this video. If you want to leave a thumbs up for me on this video, that would be really appreciative. It really helps to support this channel as I continue to make video content for you. And let me know what your thoughts are on, do you live on a Mercury line? Have you traveled to a Mercury line? Like, what were your experiences? I'd be really curious to hear what your experience has been with Mercury in general. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was really fun for me to make. I love Mercury. Mercury is fun and excited and knowledgeable and interesting and hummingbird-like, and I just love that mercurial energy. Gemini and Virgo energy is just so cerebral and fun. So I'm getting very excited. I should go now. Hope you have a magical day, and I'll see you next time here on the channel. Bye.